Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for Resurrection of Magneto #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, written by Al Ewing, with art by Luciano Vecchio, colors by David Curiel, letters by Ariana Maher. So here we are. Magneto's coming back, maybe, somehow. There's a lot going on with this Fall of X stuff. So in this issue, life, death, on Krakoa, resurrection from the dead was an easy and as completing a circuit, but Krakoa has fallen. The time of easy miracles is over. The only hard roads are left. Now it all falls to Storm as the epic conclusion to the Krakoan Age looms to bring their oldest enemy home to fight against the fall of the House of X. But after all he did and all that was done to him, can Magneto come back? Yeah, this is interesting because which Magneto are we going to bring? Are we going to bring back the Magneto that is a friend to Krakoa? Are we going to bring back a Magneto that is an enemy to humanity? Which Magneto can help the mutants take down Orcus? I think that's going to be the real question. I have a lot of faith in Al Ewing. He's a fantastic writer. Been doing some really amazing stuff, not just only in the X line, but also all across the Marvel universe. Whether he's writing Ant Man or digging into the Immortal Thor, Al Ewing is a great writer. So very excited for this. Let's take a look at some of the preview art. Luciano Vecchio, I'm very familiar with, doing a lot of stuff here in this Krakoan age, and here we are. We see here, first of all, I love the fact that there are multiple helmets of Magneto, different colors of blood, if you will. Some have fallen, some are still standing. Very interesting. And of course, the just Magneto saying that he was wrong. Now, is this a dream? Is this something that is only in Storm's mind? I think that's what we're gonna find out tomorrow when this book comes out. And of course, what will Storm have to do? So this is really interesting. I think Storm has been really one of the highlight characters of Al Ewing's run. So I'm very invested because she's a big part of this. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And of course, Magneto's a character that just has to be around. I feel like he's one of those characters that you want him to be close by. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview of Star Wars Thrawn Alliances #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team. This book is written by Timothy Zahn and Jody Houser, with art by Pat Oliphant and Andrea DeVito, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, and letters by Travis Lanham, with a great cover by Rod Reese. We also have a couple more covers at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Uh, wow. Another adaptation of one of the most popular Thrawn books. I'm very excited. Although we only got the first book adapted prior, and I believe it was also Jody Houser. Jody Houser is a powerhouse when it comes to adaptations of different media, and especially Star Wars. She's just done so much, and I'm very glad to see her name attached to this. I don't know how much Timothy Zahn was involved. Obviously, he wrote the original book, so I think that's where that's coming from, but we'll see. Let me give you a quick synopsis here. Return to the saga of Thrawn with the comic book adaptation of Thrawn Alliances. Timothy Zahn teams up with Star Wars veteran Jody Houser to bring Thrawn Alliances to the pages of comic books. Watch as Andrea DeVito and Pat Oliphant bring the action to life, showcasing the technical prowess of the galaxy's most dangerous mind. This is very interesting. And if you've seen the covers, you know that in this trilogy, there's a lot of Thrawn interacting with Darth Vader. Yeah, so this is very exciting stuff. Now, let's take a look at some of the preview art here. Now, I'm not very familiar enough to recognize the different art styles, but I would like to think that one of the artists will be doing the Thrawn stuff in the timeline when he is interacting with Darth Vader. As you can see here, this is now the now present timeline. But also, as we go into a little bit further, we get to see a then timeline where we see a young Anakin who's still around, right? So this is probably prequels time. So I believe that's where we might have the differing artists. I'm not really sure because this looks pretty similar to me, but like I said, I'm not familiar. Maybe they brought two artists that have very distinct or very similar styles where it would be almost imperceptible. So we'll definitely know more once I actually get to read this. This book has some really cool covers as well. At the end of the video, you'll see some of those, including one which I believe was the one of the covers for one of the books, or at least very similar. So this is very, very interesting. I'm excited for this. I like Thrawn as a character. Obviously, I love Darth Vader and Anakin. So just seeing all of them interact, and I speak like I guess Darth Vader's kind of two different people. But yeah, very exciting stuff. And like I said, Jodie Hauser just has this really great writing style for adaptations. I think she's fantastic at it. So I'm very excited for it. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for Power Pack Into the Storm #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book takes place before Power Pack grow up, so this is definitely a story from the before times. Written by Louise Simonson with art by June Brigman, inks by Roy Richardson, colors by Nolan Woodard, and letters by Travis Lanham. You'll see some variant covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So I'm not very familiar with the Power Pack actually. I only know a little bit from their crossover with the X-Men at some point in the 90s. And this was really just not really from reading comics, but from listening to a podcast about the X-Men. But it's going to be pretty interesting. I think Louise Simonson is a great writer, so really great to have her back behind the pages of, I believe, characters that she created or co-created. You can correct me in the comments if that's not an accurate statement. But let's take a look at the synopsis for this book. Alex, Julie, Jack, and Katie Power are superhero siblings determined to do their part to protect the world despite their young age. The problem is that their parents don't want them to have powers and can't know that they do. But when their friend Franklin Richards has a premonition of a galactic threat hurtling their way, the Power siblings will have to decide what kind of heroes they want to be and what they're willing to give up along the way. Original creators Louise Simonson and June Brigman are back to return to explore an exciting new adventure from the early days of the Power Pack. Okay, so great. Marvel got the original creative team behind the book, so that's amazing. Now, like I said, I'm not very familiar with the art or even the characters themselves. So let's take a look at some of the preview here. Um, this definitely looks very hostile for Marvel, but I do feel like it's a little bit of a contemporary update. Um, Maybe that's just the way Power Pack books feel. I'm not really sure. I don't know what kind of shenanigans they're going to get into. I think also drawing children is always pretty difficult. There's just something about consistently maintaining drawing children and having them look like children that can get into the little uncanny valley sometimes. So I guess we'll just have to read along to figure out the powers and who these characters are. I'll be interested to see how this book does and what people talk about. Like I said, I'm not very familiar with the characters, but I think it's cool that Marvel every once in a while kind of brings back characters like these that are probably fan favorites at some point, and brings the original band back together. So. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for X-Force 48. This is the new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Benjamin Percy with art by Robert Gill, Guru FX on colors, letters by Joe Caramagna. The Target Beast storyline kicks off here, which is a big reason that I'm doing this review. As I've talked about in previous videos, we don't really get preview copies of Marvel Comics. But there are a few series that I kind of want to continue reviewing. We do the previews because I want to put out what's coming out this week that's going to be hot. But for a few things like The Punisher, Wolverine, this book, Thor, like there's a few things that I kind of want to follow along on a monthly basis. This is one of the things. This is a pretty good jumping on issue for X Force because it's kicking off probably the last arc before the fall of Krakoa. So let's take a look at some housekeeping items for this issue before we get into the synopsis. So we get a little bit of backup story here. X Force has been pushed to its limits. First, its then director Beast went rogue, carrying out crimes across the globe in the name of protecting mutants. Then Orcus staged a devastating attack at the Hellfire Gala, leaving mutants decimated and X Force fractured. The team has finally reunited and re-established a new base in the North Pole, providing safe haven for any mutants they can find. Though Beast clearly still has other plans. Just as a note, this story takes place prior to Sabretooth War, which is the Wolverine book, and also Fall of the House of X and Rise of the Powers of 10. And as you can see, the current members of X Force: Omega Red, Sage, Black Tom Cassidy, Colossus, Wolverine, Laura Kinney. So the younger version that's still around, not the other version that's running around in the X-Men book. Domino, Wolverine, Logan, Quentin Quire, and of course Beast. So now that we're caught up, let me give you the synopsis for this one. Target Beast begins here. He was their mission commander. Now he is their mission. At last, X-Force takes the fight to Henry McCoy, aka Beast, and he will have to answer for his crimes. So, yeah, although I'm not caught up on everything that Beast has done because I'm behind on this title, I knew that this was going to be a good jumping on point just from looking at the synopsis. Um, and like I just did with all the housekeeping items, like you're pretty much caught up to date. I think it's still going to be fun to go back and read all those atrocities that Beast has performed. But I'm very excited to get into this book. Benjamin Percy is a really fun writer. Like we get gnarly violence right off the bat. Let me pull up some preview art as I talk about that a little bit. Uh, as you can see here, here's Omega Red being sniped by Beast. Of course, Beast is a very good tactical mind. This version of Beast has really gone through a lot and is very different than what you may expect or remember if you're not caught up on the comics. But I think that's for the best. Uh, of course, as we look at some of the art, and I really love the art here. Like I like the expressions on Beast's face. I like how just like gnarly everything looks, like all the Krakoan technology. It almost looks like an invasive species too. And then of course we get to see a big confrontation with the X-Force. Sage knows that something's wrong. Beast gets a really cool power-up suit, which is really fun. And of course, loving seeing just the members of the X-Force try to take on Beast. So this has been a really, really cool book. There's a reveal of how the approach that the X-Force is going to take to hunt down Beast is like one of the most metal things I've read in a long time. And of course, this issue is action-packed, packed with intrigue, and I think we're in for quite a ride here. So really interesting stuff. I've really been enjoying I've just been really enjoying reading this issue to get caught up. Like it really makes me want to go back and read the prior stuff that I haven't caught up on. So I probably will be doing that over the next few weekends. Maybe next time there's a holiday, something like that. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Punisher number 3. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Very exciting stuff. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by David Pepose with art by Dave Watcher, colors by Dan Brown, letters by Corey Petit. So, as I've mentioned, I will be reviewing a few Marvel series after the release date. We don't really get Marvel preview copies at the moment, but there's a few series that I think are worth enough for me to kind of keep doing videos. You guys are enjoying the reviews for that, so I'm definitely going to keep putting those out. So in this one, enter the Fear Master. Hunted down by the authorities, the Punisher must face down the one threat that cannot be stopped with bombs or bullets, the terrors inside his own mind. With an innocent life hanging in the balance, can the Punisher escape the Fear Master's deadly abattoir, or will the quest for vengeance be cut short just as his true enemy stands revealed? So, plenty of stuff happening in this book. First of all, I really like that David Pepose is reaching deep into the bag of like characters in the Marvel universe. I had never heard of the Fear Master. I had also never heard of the Offer, who was the one of the antagonists last issue. So it looks like the Punisher is this Punisher Joe is getting a little bit of like, let's play around with some of the toys that nobody's playing with. I think that's a lot of fun. This is definitely a horror take on the Punisher for like 90% of the issue, which I think it's very interesting to approach a Punisher book that way. And if you've read anything from David Pepose, you know that he excels at horror. You know, the Punisher is kind of on the run, ambushed from all sides. He's got the Fear Master coming after him. He's also got the police coming after him. He's run out of time. He's running out of room. He's running out of help. There's a really cool sequence that uses the visuals of his heart rhythm like escalating because of the fear. And like I said, I don't know much about the Fear Master. I just imagine like, okay, probably like scarecrow like, you know, toxins. We get a police confrontation finally. It looks like Joe has been framed for killing his family, or the police think that it was his fault that his family's dead. Now, of course, we've been following the Punisher, so we know that's not the case. Um, the bad guys ambush AAA. So AAA finally kind of comes into the picture a little bit more. And at the end of the issue, we have a big reveal for the bad guy. So very, very like action packed, story packed, like David Pepose really including everything he can in this issue. In the meanwhile, Dave Watcher on art duties, like, oh my goodness, the horror vibes that you get from this, the quick, frantic pace of the opening sequence, you know, and then the reveal of the Fear Master, the design of the character, just everything really works. I love when the comics kind of integrate the title of the issue into the work. I think that's a really fun throwback to the comics of old. And then yeah, just kind of seeing everything. You know, you have both the police story happening on one side, and then the horror story happening on the other. I really enjoy the approach to comics. It's very well done, very efficient. It really works for this type of book where it really puts you on, like, as the reader, you kind of feel for Joe, where no matter where you turn the page, something's coming for Joe, something's coming for the Punisher. So, really interesting stuff. I like the twist. I like the reveal at the end. I think we are in it. I think this is what David Pebbles has been working towards in his run of the Punisher. So very excited to see where this goes from here. Really cool covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.